You're at GangGreenUK. You're joining us for episode 57. I'm joined by Fraser, Otis, and James, and we are talking camp, build up to camp, whatever you want. That little grey area between mini camp and camp. How are we all feeling about going into camp, guys? James, how are you feeling?
Yeah, exciting. It's kind of the first real start of the year. Seeing the boys get together, so we'll see some good clips and stuff coming out of it from the boys practicing. So yeah, no, pumped up. We're getting closer.
And what about you, Otis? How are you feeling about it?
Excited to see what comes out at early days, to see who turns up in what shape, and early sort of battles. You tend to know pretty quickly, don't you, who's on top in certain battles. I'm very interested by the Mackay Becton situation and what happens at start camp with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the big ones, isn't it? Because let's face it, every photo from the last 2 weeks, that man don't look fat. He just looks big. Like, he looks big. The guy's big. He's going to weigh a lot. Like, it's simple. The guy is huge. Like, I am little. I weigh less than a big person. Fraser, how you feel about it?
Yeah, same as other guys. Excited, but also bit nervous about some stuff. So obviously excited about some of the battles that are going to take place, i.e. Becton and Fant, who's going to end up winning that left tackle job. Even things like where Mims is going to fall in the wide receiver chart after training camp. The Carter and Brees Hall battle, who's going to come out on top there. But nervous for all the overreactions about Zach throwing an interception and all the overreactions about everything else that goes on with camp, and probably more nervous about we're going to end up with a big injury. We always do. So yeah,
I mean,
excited but nervous.
Loving your optimism.
Well, expect the worst and then can't be disappointed.
I mean, you can look at it that way. We won't hold it against you, Captain Negative. Yeah, I'm very much the same. I'm interested in the secondary mainly, because obviously that's the positions that everybody had the biggest concerns with. And I don't think it's about the battles as it is, because I think we're pretty set on who's like starting, who's 2, who's 3. It's more about now who's going to get the last spots and who's going to get cut. Like, when you think about it, got Sauce, DJ Reed, Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, and then you're getting into Javelin Guidry, Richard Wildgoose, Isaiah Dunn, and Justin Hardy. But you know Hardy's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So then you've got to be looking at Guidry, Wildgoose, and Dunn. But then you've got 2 second-year players and a third-year player, 2 of them of which looked okay. But were any of them better than Hall? Were they better than Carter? It's an interesting one, because we want the depth. But at the same time, we know we can't go into it carrying 9 cornerbacks.
Off the rookie performances, I would say Eccles and Carter are both guaranteed to be on the roster. I think Hall, again, is guaranteed to be on the roster. I think he's the 3rd corner on the roster probably at this point.
On this, they've got him listed as 4, but I think that's positional.
Yeah. The 3 you mentioned, Dunn will be 1, and then the other 2 I can't think now, sorry.
Wildgoose and Guidry.
Yeah, I think Dunn will probably end up practice squad. I think Guidry will probably end up going, and so will Wildgoose. And
then what you guys about the same on that, Fraser, James?
Yeah, I'd say Eccles and Carter definitely deserve the second shot, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll move on to the safeties, where this is an interesting one. So in the order that they're listed, Jordan Whitehead, LaMarcus Joyner. Yeah, we know that. Pinnock, Davis, Will Parks, Elijah Riley, Javonte Moffett, Kai Nakau, and Tony Adams. Only 1 rookie in there. Everybody else has got experience. A couple of year 2s in Riley and Moffett and Pinnock. But a lot of them contributed at some point last year, whether it be on special teams or in actual games.
Yeah.
But we're not going to run with 9 or 10. We're going to run with 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, it'll likely come down to 4, won't it?
So then you're losing Parks, Riley, Moffat, Nakao, Adams, or Davis. And I don't think Davis just because of his special teams.
I think Davis will end up seeing the field as well.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Davis and Parks both stayed, and then the rest went.
I think Pinnock will end up staying for me.
Yeah, I don't think you can drop Pinnock just because of his flexibility to go back into linebacker as well.
Yeah.
You mean corner?
Yeah, sorry. I'm pretty sure he was down as a linebacker, then we moved him to corner, then took him to safety. I mean, that kid he'll play anywhere. He's just happy to be there.
Yeah, he offers a bit of interesting flexibility as well because of his size, doesn't he? He's just gigantic and moves fairly well for his size. He'll back up Whitehead, I think, and then you'll have Joyner and Davis on the free safety side.
Yeah, I mean, so then obviously the big chat of the week is that there are people in the secondary available still, and there's rumours that we're going to make a big splash. Personally, I don't see it. James, what about you?
No, I mean, it really depends if the deal's right, doesn't it? I mean, if you're going to give up a 2 or even a 3rd, you'd like to hope that he'd come and sign. But if you're just going to get him to the end of the season, I think it's a bit too much of a risk for the Bates from Cincinnati. So,
yeah, I think if you're going to go Bates, the contract has to be done before the signature.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Fraser? Are you in on the Bates, or are you okay just to not even look at him?
I mean, he's a top player, and if you add somebody like him to our secondary, obviously, it's going to be an unbelievable secondary. However, as I've spoke to you guys before, I think it all comes down to what it will cost and pick-wise and what his new contract would be. Player of his ability, I personally think it's going to be too much money, and you're probably looking at least 2 seconds or a second and a third, and I just don't think it's worth it for us. I don't think we're struggling that much there that we need to go out and get him.
Yeah, I mean, you're about the same on that, I notice.
Yeah, my opinion is I think the price is going to be too high, but also what Fraser just said, I think is hugely accurate, is that the need isn't big enough to go out and get a player like that. You're very happy with Joyner playing. If Davis continues to take a step forward, you're pretty happy with him playing, and Whitehead's more than good enough to play. So is the need actually that high to go out and get a player like him, although he is an incredible player?
See, that's my thing. He's an incredible player that I would not look at. I wouldn't even cast the look in his direction. To be honest, if I hadn't heard it on other reports and seen it on Twitter and stuff, I wouldn't have even looked at that position to see who was available.
No.
But I've said this pretty much all off season that I thought safety was okay. Like, we have got players that can play it because I just didn't see it as a big need. Which this is going back to like when we were talking Kyle Hamilton. It's just
the Jordan Whitehead pickup was massive. That was
huge.
That give us what we were missing, really.
And that kind of solidified it of we don't need to go out and risk.
Yeah.
I think it's not just adding Whitehead though. I think it's when you add Sauce and Reed in that back end as well, you just feel a lot more confident. I think if we never drafted Sauce, if we never got Reed, and you only got Whitehead basically to replace May, then I think you would maybe have a case for it because you'd be a bit worried about that back end. But I think with the additions we've added, I just don't think it's going to be worth it.
Corners are generally much more expensive than much more important than safeties, aren't they? And we've upgraded corners so much,
especially in this scheme.
Yeah.
Now, did you all see the report on Sauce from one of the assistant coaches?
No.
And I think it's the assistant coach, I can't remember the name, but I think he's on 18 years experience. And he's turned around and said he might be the best player, both from a coaching point and an ability point that he's ever coached. And they were like, he's blowing smoke, and somebody else went, I would agree. And you're like, so he's blowing coaches' minds at how good he is and adaptive, but they're saying he's coachable. Which a few people were like, well, is he going to be able to be coached up having come in from Cincy? Which it's not classed as a big school yet.
No.
But it's a funny one because I don't know. I feel okay about it. Like normally I've got a bit of like unrest, and I feel a bit funny about new corners and safeties and just defense in like general. And this year I'm just like, I'm all right. I'm okay.
The adaptation phase always worries you with corners. Most of them have it. Most of them have the moment they get torched, and the games they get torched because they weren't in the right place at the right time when they should have been. It will help him massively if we play him in man a bit, because man is the same no matter where you're playing it. Just players just quicker and faster and better. Zone is where they tend to fall on their ass because they just aren't used to seeing it in the complexity that is in the NFL.
Yeah. Now we kind of touched on the next position earlier with George Fant, whose birthday it was yesterday. So happy birthday, George. Now, obviously, I don't know if you've seen, he's been quite vocal about not having a contract after next year. Do the Jets give him his contract before opening week? Fraser.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one. I think with them saying that he's a left tackle going into camp, if he proves it in the next 3 or 4 weeks that, yeah, he's going to be starting left tackle, then I think there's a deal to be done now that benefits both him and us. You bear in mind, he's never received a massive, massive contract. He's probably still not going to receive a massive, massive contract. But if we know he can be the guy and he's going to be starting left tackle this year, then you go out and you get him, and you're still going to get him at a good price, at a team that he knows that he's performing well, at a team that he knows that he can trust. You know, he's earned his spot there. So I potentially think, yeah, he could probably end up getting one before it. I hope he does if he keeps going the way he's going, because I really like him. And I like him as a left tackle more than what I want him to go back to right tackle, to be honest. So, yeah, I think it could be.
What are you thinking on it, Otis? Because I can see that grin on your face. That's saying that you've got either a slightly other view or you've got something to put in on it.
Playing slightly devil's advocate slightly, I think the only reason he hasn't been paid is because the Jets hope he's not the left tackle. If you play him as left tackle, you've got to pay him millions. That's it. That's just the way left tackles are paid. The Jets are hoping Becton comes in, kicks his ass, goes, get back where you belong, boy, on the right side. I'll take my left tackle spot and I'm cheap and you're not. They can then either pay him a $10 million a year contract again and he plays right tackle, or the even better scenario for the Jets is Mitchell comes in, is even better than they thought he was, and next year Fant's gone and he isn't playing right tackle for us anyway. I think that's where Joe Douglas is at for me. I think I don't want to pay you left tackle money because you're old and you're not worth it in terms of longevity. I think talent and how he's playing right now, he probably deserves the money, but I don't think you want to tie it to him. So I think he hopes Becton beats him for left tackle. He plays right tackle for another year, and then he hopes Mitchell kicks him off the team, which I'd be happy with, right? Wouldn't everyone?
I mean, if he's performing, absolutely. But it's one of them. The one thing that we have grumbled about is continuity for Zach. Do we really want him to have another left tackle? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would 100% give Fant his contract, but I'm just looking there now at left tackle prices in the league at the minute. So where would you put him? Like, is he better than Taylor Decker from the
last year he performed like a top 10 tackle, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right, so 1, 2, 3,
top 5 at times, really.
Right, so
I reckon you're talking 16 million a year on average.
Right, so Taylor Lewin from the Titans.
Yeah.
Right, he's the number 10 highest paid.
Yeah.
And he's rocking in at 80 million, which is about 16 a year.
Christ.
He's on.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? When you consider he's on 10 now.
Right, so that's up to 16, right? To get down to any lower than 12, we're talking Tyron Smith of the Cowboys. And then everybody below them is either a rookie or an old player on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Then if we were to look at, I mean, I would say look at right tackle, but my iPad's froze. Like the price in there, like I don't know if I could say 16.
That's the problem, isn't it? I agree with Fraser. I think he probably deserves the money. The way he performed last season, the way he'll undoubtedly perform this season. But at the end of the day, do you want is he 31 next year? Do you want him to be the guy, really?
He's 30 now.
Yeah, so 31 next
I mean,
year.
I think I'm okay at that age. When you look at some of the top performers in the league, they are in the 30s and they're still doing okay. Like still performing to a high standard.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
But the main question is, do we give him the deal before week 1, so there's no issue during the season?
There's a lot of scenarios, isn't there? There is a lot of scenarios. It's hard to predict. There's so many things that could happen. What happens if Becton snaps his ACL or something in camp? Then suddenly you're paying Fant 15, 16 million a year just to make sure you've got that guy for a few years, just in case.
Well, he's the 7th highest paid right tackle at the minute.
Yeah, which is about where he belongs, right? That's about, you'd be happy paying him anywhere, you know.
Yeah, so he's on 9.2 now. But
Yeah.
to put him in the top 5, he's got to get 17.
The thing that's interesting with him, though, you've got to remember, it's his first year with Zach. So it's someone Zach can trust and build with. It's his first year in this scheme. It's his first year with these new coaches, learning everything that they want to try and get into this team. He's at an age where he knows he's not got many years left. He knows that he's going to want big paydays. He's probably got more drive than any of that old line to prove that he's still got it. And look how he produced last season. It's a hard one.
It
is
an interesting
very
one.
hard one.
Because at right tackle, all of the other right tackles that are his age or older, only one is getting more money than Fant. Anybody want to guess who it is?
What, right tackles?
Right tackle is over 30 and on more than 9.2 a year. And the number is eye-watering.
It's a restructure for the Cowboys, isn't it?
It's not.
Don't know.
It's Lane Johnson from the Eagles.
Is it? Yeah, but
his average is 18 million a year and he's 32.
He's good, though.
And they still can't keep Hurts upright.
It's an interesting one because, like, obviously, over the last couple of years we've spoken about tackles and O-line, but in a completely different way. We're now talking about keeping somebody, which I know we've been saying in the last few videos. It's that excitement of us actually talking about who's going to lose spots over what are we going to do.
So how much is Fant on this year?
9.2.
Fant is on 9.2.
So what I would do if they were happy with him in camp is I'd go to him, offer him a 2-year deal. It's say an average of 13 and a half a year. Now,
it's 11 when you take into account his.
If you give him something that's 2 or 3 more million a year this year, and then average it to about 13 and a half next year, he's still gaining a couple of million. So that would technically next year he would have been on 15 and a half or something like that if he was added next year. You know that if something happens with Becton, you're getting a cheap-ish left tackle who's on more money than he's ever had, who's staying there. Or if Becton comes out and performs, you know you're still only paying a right tackle who's performing about 13 a year for 2 years. You're not tied to him for any longer. You're paying him money that he's going to be happy with, and it's money that you know is not too much for that position.
I mean, I'm looking at it, and I would be okay going even as high as 14.
Yeah, something around that mark.
But I don't know if it'll come to that. I mean, I'm still on that thing that he's probably going to play a left tackle because I don't think Mackay is going to be 100%.
I think he would take a contract about 13 and a half, 14 million. I think he would.
I mean, looking at the contracts that he signed in the past, he probably will. You're right. Like,
if he goes to another team, he's got to learn a whole new scheme. He's done it at other teams, and he was only average to decent as a swing tackle or a right tackle. Do you really think he's going to, at that age, turn down potentially 13, 14 million a year?
and you've got to look at it as well, right? The Jets, all of his money so far, he's earned every penny,
Yeah.
hit every incentive.
They'll structure it in a good way. That's what Joe's good at, structuring it in a way that will benefit the team and him.
The other thing to look at is if the contract runs out in a year and he plays well at left tackle this year and he hasn't signed, in terms of his viewpoint, is he can go to a contender.
Yeah.
So what do you care more about? Do you care more about an extra 3 million, or do you care more about getting out of the Jets next year and potentially going to the the Rams, or I know, yeah,
That's a massive jump.
Yeah, the Rams or the Packers, or someone like that need to protect an older quarterback and make a bit less money but win a Super Bowl. That's the other option he's got, right?
He has, yeah, but
right. So if we were to offer him, if we were to offer him 14 million a season for the next 2 seasons, make it achievable, those 2 seasons will match his total career earnings so far.
Yeah.
Which, that for me, that's a great deal considering he's got 7 years in the league.
If he's shown what he showed last year in camp and got the drive for it, then I'm giving him that to play left or right tackle, whatever he ends up paying. To me, that's a good deal. For you're getting a cheap left tackle, or you're getting an average paid top right tackle salary, which he would deserve after the way he's been playing. The thing that I think will shock people, I think he'll actually get voted as a captain this year.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, potentially, because he doesn't miss games.
I think he'll get voted as a captain this year, and that'll be something that Joe will look at about how he is around people, because he seems to have the right character that you want.
Yeah.
Now, the uncertainty with Becton, I would pay him 14 million a year to play left or right. To me, I think it's a win-win situation right now.
No, 100%. It's just one that I wanted to chat about because I've not heard many people talking about it, and I read it on Jets X Factor, and I was like, would I not? And then I'm like, well, I think I would, but I don't know. So it was just one of them that I thought we'll have a chat about and see how it goes. Anybody else that's going into camp that you like, we need to kind of talk about? I know we mentioned Mims.
Yeah, I was just about to say Mims that Fraser mentioned earlier. I think is the other big one.
So I mean, he's 25. He's only got 2 seasons, so he's only in his 3rd year, and I feel like Mims has been around forever.
Feels
But
like
it's not. It's just he's been in a lot of conversation, hasn't he? Not always for the right reason. But this year is what? His cap hit is 1.4 million.
Yeah.
You're keeping Mims regardless of just simply because of his salary and potential. People have got different opinions on Mims. I'd say it's 50-50 in the Jets community. Some people love him, some people just are fed up of him. I want Mims to succeed. I really do. But I'm also at the stage where I think people like Jeff Smith is going to beat him out in camp. I hope I'm wrong, but I've just got that feeling I've just got a feeling of bust written all over him. I just haven't seen enough effort from him. You see the odd video clip now and again of I'm doing this and that, and you think, oh yeah, maybe, but I've just not until I see it.
You're not seeing it turn into games, are you?
Until I see it, like last year, I know there's loads of excuses. There was his health, and there was all sorts of stuff going on, the weight he'd lost and what he was going through. But the fact that he just could not see the field even when he was available, when we were in really, really bad position at times, I think that's a bad sign.
Do you know how many games he played last year?
No.
8, maybe.
Otis, do you want to guess?
I think he'll have suited for a lot, but I don't remember seeing him on the field.
He's suited for at least 12 or 13 at least.
11 games played,
Yeah, so
and he missed 2 when he was healthy. So he was a healthy scratch on 2. So 13 total games he was available for.
And there was wide receivers on that field at times that we didn't even know was on the roster at that game.
Who's he?
He only had 8 receptions for 133 yards on an average of 16.6. Where actually, if we just took that snippet,
Yeah.
8 receptions, 133, 16.6, we were like, yeah, fair, decent. Like
one game.
Yeah, but the season before, it was only 23 receptions, 357 yards, but 15.5 average.
Yeah.
So it's showing that he is getting the ball, he is getting yards when he's getting it, but he doesn't get it enough.
There's obviously something about him that's not quite right.
I mean, I think a lot of it is down to the health, especially kind of the amount of weight he lost. I mean, I think he went from 222 to less than 200 at one point.
I think as well, the unfortunate thing for Mims is that he has been the victim of typical Jets fans. I think everyone went, oh, we really need a wide receiver. We finally drafted one fairly high, which we've been crying out for as fans. And then everyone went and watched his highlights video of a 6'3", 220-pound gazelle running down the field like he was going to barrel over people and make every catch he could. And Jets fans automatically went, well, hey, we're saved. And actually, he was a big receiver that runs straight down the field for Bala, which is all they do. So really, was he actually ready? Is he going to take a lot of time? I don't think there's a huge reason to panic. I think it's a typical Jets thing to panic, but I think there's time yet still.
Yeah, there's definitely time. He's still, as I say, he's cheap. He's going to be around this season, definitely, and potentially even next, depending on what happens this season.
Yeah, well, next year we owe him about 1.8.
Yeah, you still pay that.
I think the more you look at it, and then you look back and you think, was there a reason that Joe Douglas didn't take him straight away and traded down like 3-4 times and then got him like 25 picks later? Did he know that he wasn't worth taking at that spot? And I mean, we were all praising how amazing it was that he managed to trade down 2 or 3 times, so many spots, and still get Mims, and we were all ecstatic. But was there another reason? Was he just like, I don't think this guy is?
I think it's one of them with that situation there, exactly what you're saying. I think because we've seen Flight and we understand how Joe works now, he wouldn't have had any issue phoning around, finding out how people feel about people. And I feel like he's got that good of a relationship. People would be telling him how they feel about people.
Yeah.
I think he just knew it was a project. I think Jets fans' expectations usually are way too high. And I think there was an understanding that the guy was a project. I think the Jets knew it. I think that's the reason why generally there's been no real panic out of the Jets. Not once have you seen genuine panic about the situation with Mims. Like, they're not throwing him under the bus. I actually think they're throwing Becton under the bus more than throwing Mims under the bus, which when you consider where they were taken and the money that's invested in each one and stuff, it's probably not the way around you'd have thought it'd be.
Yeah. Where you sitting on Mims Gate, James?
It's just really put up or shut up this season, isn't it? I mean, you suppose you might keep him next year, but you want to see him third year get on the field, at least have some form of impact. There's going to be opportunities for him. So, yeah, or shut up really this year.
I'd like 500 yards. I think 500 yards would be a fair expectation. If he could put up 500 yards, you'd be like, yeah, that's decent for receiver 3 or 4, depending on where you're playing him and who's playing. And particularly if everyone else is healthy. If someone like, let's say, Garrett Wilson goes down or Corey Davis goes down, you'd want him to be going, well, I'm the second guy for that spot and I'm going to put up 800 yards. Then you'd be really happy. But I think if he gets near 500, I'd be over the moon.
I think what makes it hard for Mims though this year is now that we've got Garrett Wilson, you would expect Davis to take a jump this year, and you've got Elijah Moore who can play outside and inside. So I think it's going to be even tougher for Mims to break into getting the on the field as much as he wants. he's probably internally inside praying that Jets get injuries at the wide receiver position, because I think he'll be worried a little bit right now, to be honest. I think if he's doing well, he'll see the field, but I think his numbers will still be quite low, in all honesty, because of the guys that we've actually got available now.
As things stack up, I think he's still the number one backup outside for both slots. I think he's number one behind Garrett Wilson. He's number one behind Corey Davis. You'd expect any time one of those two need a rest, provided he's done what he's supposed to do, he should be playing.
Yeah, it depends what they do with Moore, I suppose. It depends whether they love Berrios enough to move Moore to the outside for some plays and put Berrios in at the same time as your slot.
I mean,
I don't think that's relevant, because I think it's going to be 4-man. I think it's going to be 4 wide. So I think you're right that Berrios will see the field, but I think it'll be more and Berrios inside and then 2 outside and go.
I mean, given that Moore's weight when he's came into camp is massively increased.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the race video. It was him racing somebody for the fastest. I think it was put on by AJ Brown or something. They were working out together.
It was AJ Brown, wasn't it?
Like the speed, like Moore has put on so much more weight and he's still got his speed, which then makes him a bit more of an opportunity threat where we can move him around.
It makes him more of a screen threat and a end around threat.
Yeah,
you'll see him. I think you'll see him more play like Deebo Samuel now. He's much more. He's up to Deebo Samuel's weight. He's no longer at Devontae Smith's weight, where you go and he's going to get killed if you put him on a linebacker. At least now he can take a hit from a linebacker, or at least try.
He's 5'9" and about 190.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Pretty decent.
Yeah, because he was lighter than Smith at one stage. Because Smith was.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that, weren't we? Because we were like, Devontae Smith looks skinny as, looks like he's going to get lit up. And then we looked and we're like, oh, Elijah Moore is actually lighter. But it's an interesting one with wide receiver because, yeah, we're kind of set, but at the same time, we have no idea.
The order's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem with a lot of the Jets positions. We're actually in the boat where we've got enough talent now in a lot of positions. It's where that talent falls in which order it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. Just before we finish off, guys, do you want to do, should we do running backs? You don't have to. You can say yes or no.
I'm not sure there's a huge amount to talk about, really, in my opinion.
Well, obviously, Breece Hall has signed now.
Yeah.
See, that was on my list to talk about if he hadn't signed, but he signed.
Based on where you drafted him, Breece Hall's number 1 running back, Carter's number 2. And if you didn't, and if it's not that, then you wasted your pick. Why did you bother?
Your first 2 is pretty set, to be honest.
Yeah, nailed.
The only thing we've really got there to talk about is who your 3rd and 4th guys might be.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, could be any of them. But I think, and for previous chats, I think a lot is probably agree that P. Ryan's probably going to be one of the odd men out here.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he had so much potential coming out and stuff. But yeah, the talent above him now is just so ridiculous that I just think he's going to be the odd man out. Even people like Johnson, they're above P. Ryan, so he's going to be the odd man out, I think. And as we spoke about last time, potentially, I'd like to see Coleman stay, but he could be another one who could potentially go. Because at the end of the day, if Carter and Hall are producing, you don't need Johnson and Coleman.
Right, so there's a name that isn't getting shot about at the minute. Zonovan Knight, who we're actually paying more money to than we are Ty Johnson. So he has shown something to get that contract.
Yeah, and he's also practice squadable, so I wouldn't it's one of them, and banging on the practice squad don't cost yourself anything away to go. But I wouldn't be shocked, as Fraser just said. I think White might end up staying, but I think it's at the expense of Coleman and P. Ryan. I think your backs could well be White.
Well, P. Ryan's for $4 million contract in total.
Yeah.
So he's like $1 mil, just over $1 mil this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at anybody out with the 3 of Hall, Carter, and Johnson. To me, Johnson's that third guy. I think he's proved it. I think Johnson should be that third guy.
He's dependable, isn't he? In a little tight spot.
Yeah, I think if he was to be cut, that would be the shock to me out of it all. Any of the other ones that go out of them three, I would not. If I woke up tomorrow morning, Coleman's been cut, not shocked. You know, I wouldn't be shocked in any of them, to be honest.
So what you're saying to me is I should probably get rid of my Tevin Coleman ball now.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you should do is you draft them in your fantasy league.
Yeah, it's just it's a nice position that we're in. Obviously on the next video we will have more of camp to talk about, because we've literally done first days. The only interesting thing that's happened isn't really news, and it's Jeremy Ruckett going on the non-football injury. Everything else is as it was expected, pretty uneventful. So we will catch you all later, guys. Please give us a like, a share, and a follow. Keep James busy. If you can drop us some comments on the video once it's live, we'll try our best to answer any questions you have, and we'll see you next time.